Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode 478, where we will dance with Daleks in Zero G. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
They have quite the tango.
Yes.
How are you guys?
I'm doing well. How are you guys? Did you guys have a nice Christmas?
We did. It was busy, but it was good.
Ours was very laid back, but also good. What'd you do, Keith?
Oh, we had our standard 4 Christmases of my dad, ours, in-laws, my mom, all from Christmas Eve evening to Christmas evening. Knocked them all out, and it all went really well. The kids had a lot of fun. Liam really got into the gift wrapping on Christmas Eve, or unwrapping, and then kind of lost interest throughout the day on Christmas. But Gemma thoroughly enjoyed it. There were only a couple of meltdowns because there weren't any more presents to open. What do you expect when you're 3? But she's very excited because she thinks she has double the toys because she thinks all of Liam's toys are hers.
They are until he knows any better.
Well, yeah, it's true. But heaven forbid he touches one of her toys. So we're fighting that battle. But otherwise, it was really good.
Glenn?
It was pretty low key this year because of COVID. We didn't go to our usual big Bartlett Christmas down in Hutchinson or Wichita, depending on where we end up going each year. But so it was just us and my parents because my sister, who had planned to come over to my folks on Christmas morning, called Christmas morning, and her son and his dad had no smell or no taste. And
no.
Yep. So they decided they better stay home. And so we Zoomed with them for just, a few minutes. And so it was just my parents and my family, but we did a shrimp boil and for lunch and then opened gifts in the afternoon. And then that was pretty much it. We came home, and on Saturday we Zoomed with Holly's family because her sister and brother-in-law are in Kansas City, and her dad and her stepmom decided not to come up this year because of COVID. So that was it. Pretty low key. Kind of a relaxing Christmas. It was the first Christmas that I didn't feel like I was running everywhere and getting up super early in the morning, and it was actually kind of nice, to be honest with you.
That was one nice thing is, while it was busy, 3 of the 4 Christmases were at our house, so it felt a lot more kind of relaxed for me and Sarah, just because we didn't have to bundle everything up and pack everything up and go somewhere other than once. Right. So that part was really nice. What about you, Sean?
Really just us. We had bundled up presents and dropped them off for the kids earlier in the week, and they opened them. Wow. As soon as they got home, they just figuring that we would have given them something useful. They apparently wanted to use it now. So it's like, that's not how that works, guys. So they did not have anything. We had planned this big Zoom call thing that we were going to open on, Christmas morning. Nope. So it was just 2 of us and Shy, and she was, pretty into the whole, okay, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, and get ready for bed. And then she reminded me, hey, we got to leave cookies out for Santa. I was like, oh, you're right. We had baked cookies ahead of time, so we did that, and the big man came and ate her cookies, and she was very impressed over that. So I opened up and got some nice stuff and called it a day. Made enchiladas later that evening because I was feeling froggy, and
nice.
That was about it. Oh, we did watch... we only got one of the 2 Christmas release movies watched on Christmas. We had to wait till the next day to catch Soul. But we did watch both Soul and Wonder Woman 1984.
How were they?
Wonder Woman 1984 is kind of a hot mess. There are parts of it that I really liked, and it's a little campy and very 80s in feel. But sometimes that's also to the film's detriment because it has lost a lot of the realism and the grittiness that the first film had. So the whole very awesome no man's land sequence, stuff like that is nowhere to be found in the second one. So it's a definitely different animal. I enjoyed Soul much better, although I still don't know that it's as good as everybody seems to be making it out to be. I see a lot of people online talking about how it's better than Wall-E, and I'm like, no. I liked it, but there's still something not quite right with it, too. So you guys will have to watch them and let me know what you think. I would be curious to hear your thoughts.
Did you watch anything, Glenn?
No, just the usual Christmas fare. Anything else? If not, let's move on to news.
Say there was a noticeable lack of Doctor Who Christmas special on Christmas Day. It was really
Yeah, that's the news. Doctor Who's still not on.
That's pretty much it. We got less than a week to go now. The countdown is on.
Yeah, 4 days, right? Because it's on Friday.
Yeah.
So
It's on Friday, so by the time you hear this, less than.
yes, providing I get that out before Friday. So
Yes, providing you get this out before Friday.
my track record recently has been pretty good, though. So well, let's talk about our reviews this week then.
The Last Message. The Dalek Emperor receives a message billions of years in the making.
That's pretty much it. There's a synopsis for a short story. That's pretty good.
Yeah, not
bum
bad.
bum bum.
Yeah, right.
I did enjoy it. It was a nice to kind of put the Dalek storyline into context as far as the beginning
Yeah, it does.
goes
Yeah.
and the end.
It does set up the Daleks TV series or video web series a little bit. We know that because of this is why they're headed to Eaglemoss to the archive in order to get the information that they're seeking. So that was nice. It was nice to get that. Yeah, it was nice to get that little connection, that setup.
I also got the impression that the Dalek they were getting the recording from was the one from the escape rooms.
So here's the
Did you get that impression too?
Here's the weird thing about that. I think that's probably the case. However, on the reading order for the Time Lord Victorious, and you know how I was saying how they really didn't need to do a reading order or a story order, and then I kind of felt like it was cool that you could just kind of bounce it. Well, I'll tell you, this week I needed it. No, yeah, Last Message. Yeah. Last Message takes place before Daleks, and the one that is sending the message, if you go down to the bottom for the Victorious Days, the game we played, the Hollow Planet, is first, then Genetics of the Daleks, and then a Daleks Awakens. And so I don't know. I know that Genetics of the Daleks and a Dalek Awakens are connected, so I'm assuming that that's the Dalek that we're getting, that the message is from. But if you remember, Hollow Planet was taking place in our time and not the Dark Times, and I got the impression that this Dalek was embedded in some asteroid and still transmitting. Now, also transmitting from the Dark. Was it transmitting from the Dark Times or had survived? It had survived all the way until obviously present day in order to deliver that message. And then, of course, they didn't go pick it up. But we also get the information that that particular Dalek is also in this time and hasn't been sent back yet. So we do know that there's a bit of a bootstrap there as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it'll a nice little touch.
It'll be interesting to see how Genetic of the Daleks and the Dalek Awakens escape room connect to that particular Dalek, because I'm still not quite clear on that, if it's the same Dalek or not.
Now that you pointed that out, I'm betting it's not. I bet it's just a separate third Dalek.
Yeah, I still can't help but feel like it's the strategist, but
it's definitely not, because it's identified as a drone now. now we know for sure it's a drone.
And based on Echoes of Extinction, I don't think that's the case either.
Yeah.
No, not Echoes of Extinction. The other one we're doing,
Mutually Assured Destruction. It's good. It's a good little story. I think it's a strong setup to the Daleks part in this, which I guess I kind of expected since James Goss wrote it. I mean, he's kind of the guiding hand in all of this anyway. So if anybody's going to make sure that things are set up properly, it's going to be this. I do sort of wish we had gotten this before the Dalek series. I think it would have been a nice little lead into that, which had our stuff been on time, it would have. But however, did you guys happen to read Emperor of the Restoration, which was the little article right before this, or story right before this?
Yeah, I read all of the little bits of this collection
Yeah.
book other than the parts of the Emperor.
The Emperor of that was Anatomy of a Dalek. The only thing that I didn't, I was kind of glad that I didn't get was this. The Restoration, Emperor of the Restoration gives a lot of the Dalek story in the Daleks away. It would have been spoilers for me.
I didn't think there was that much spoilers, other than maybe just because I already knew a lot of the stuff. But I don't remember there being anything in there where I was like, "Whoa!" If I hadn't read that, I would be totally ruined on what happens.
Well, it completely forecasts the Dalek Emperor leading the entity to the mechanoids and allying with the mechanoids and well, I guess it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily say it was using them. It just says they partnered with the mechanoids in order to defeat the new threat. So I guess that doesn't give too much away, because from the trailer we knew that there were going to be mechanoids in it, and I think we even knew
it gives
it away,
but not necessarily that's this story that we were talking about.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So until you watched it, you wouldn't necessarily know, and then you would go, "Oh, that's that one."
Right. That's true. So there wasn't a lot of, and it sort of puts in perspective the Hond as well. It leads us through the Titan comic books. I can't remember the name of that story arc. Defender of the Daleks?
That sounds right. Overall, those articles did a really great job of putting all of the Dalek stuff in context, even beyond the specific Time Lord Victorious stuff.
I would agree. Yeah,
that's what I really liked about those specific articles in this and the next volume.
Yeah.
I feel bad I didn't get to really deep dive into them. I just kind of skimmed over them. But the parts that I did glean were, as it kind of explained that this is the new direction things went after the Civil War and Remembrance. And that to me was like, oh, okay, cool. Because it kind of firmly put the timestamp on it. Not that we didn't know it was kind of sandwiched between there and there, but
yeah,
it's always nice when you're dealing with a time traveling race to have that officiality. Oh, okay.
Those points of reference. I also like that this kind of builds on the whole restoration of Skaro as well. This is the Emperor from the Supreme Council that basically anoints himself Emperor. It goes back to Skaro, which had recently been destroyed by the Seventh Doctor, and kind of starts from scratch. And I think that was kind of a neat revelation of, okay, this is kind of what happened post Revelation.
So the planet was destroyed, but not in its entirety.
Right.
It's a cop out, but I'll allow it.
Well, we knew
perhaps
that
a better description is the civilization on the planet was destroyed, as
right?
opposed
Yeah.
to the planet itself.
I would like to know though, because and perhaps this is alluded to, but had the Thalls left Skaro before the Seventh Doctor initiated the Hand of Omega? Because if not, he summarily wiped the Thalls out as well. I can't remember. It seems like they left Planet of the Daleks. They had already left Skaro by that time, so maybe they weren't there at the time. But this article refers to the Emperor going back and with no Thalls on the planet. There would be no Thalls. It would only be Daleks. So
I think we'd have to assume that, again, Dalek stories being what they are, that when we see them in sequence, that they are in sequence unless we are told otherwise.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, and even then, the next volume refers to Genesis,
right?
And how the stories up to that was one timeline, and then this splintered off and made a new Dalek timeline.
Right.
The events of that, which I thought was a really nice touch and an interesting way to try to retcon everything to work together.
Yeah, it's nothing new though, because this has already been retconned in this pretty much the same way in other materials. Goss just kind of, or this magazine, whoever's putting this together, really kind of formulated it into one spot, and I think
just
it
summarized it really well.
Yeah, makes it more clear, and I think I appreciate that as well. Well, let's move on then to Mission to the Known, which was the next story.
The Dalek Emperor reveals its ultimate goal.
I feel compelled. We should be going dun dun dun. I mean, these are good
Dun,
stories.
dun, dun.
Yeah, these are good stories. They warrant the dun dun dun, I suppose.
Well, and
This
it's
story
amazing
was
too for as short as they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're
that's
such nice little interludes.
Yeah, that's true, because I mean we're basically working with a 4-page story that really gets a lot of information in there, and a lot of
With illustration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think are cool. I think the kind of the retro look of the illustrations
they're gorgeous.
is pretty neat. And then of course this one this one takes place.
The placement of this one was a little less clear to me. I think
Yeah.
it's because we haven't read All Flesh is Grass yet.
Right. So that's, well, and even worse will be when we get to the next one we review tonight. But yeah, so this one actually takes place.
It's in the middle of All Flesh is Grass.
How come I can't? Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's in between. It's in the interlude. Yeah, you're right. So this one's in the
So
interlude.
after Minds of Magnox and Tales from the Dark Times.
Right. So this is the Emperor giving the directive to the commander and the Dalek executioner to go and take out the Time Lords before they become the Time Lords. This story also, this was something you guys kind of had a little fun with, that, you know, isn't every Dalek an executioner? And this one really kind of cements why this is the executioner Dalek. This is not the executioner of other races. This is the executioner of the commanders if they don't succeed in their mission. And so it's aptly named the executioner because it's going to take out the top of the Daleks if it fails. And so I think that was kind of a neat, okay, that makes sense why it's called the executioner Dalek.
Well, and the mutually assured destruction helps lend towards why it's called that also.
Well, yeah, it does.
It's almost very 80s era Soviet military. There's a KGB agent aboard. You know,
Yeah.
just keeping tabs on things. But of course, in typical Dalek fashion, we can't do anything subtle. So we're going to, equip him with the biggest ray gun we can find and make him slightly bloodthirsty and insane.
The story is good though.
Not much else to say about it, huh?
No.
Well, let's move on to mutually assured destruction, because this is a little meatier story. A little meatier story.
A little.
Yeah, just a little bit meatier, and much longer.
From Big Finish Productions.
Divert power to shields. Diverting power will reduce navigational control. Seal the breach. We have lost outer saucer sections, primary laboratory, weapon store, and payload module.
Doctor Who, Time Lord Victorious. Mutually assured destruction.
I'm just a rat in the skirting boards causing havoc. Now, where is it?
You are the Doctor. Stop!
You've been cooped up in the lab too long, forgotten how to shoot in zero gravity.
You will learn. You cannot trap the Doctor. He is too dangerous. Your actions have jeopardized the survival of the Dalek Time Squad. You are looking for the TARDIS.
Well, you're a bright one. What have you done with it?
Purge all aliens. Exterminate. Exterminate.
Big Finish. We love stories.
Bum, bum, bum.
What'd you guys think about this one?
I liked it.
I did too. It was an action-packed ride. I don't know if there was as much plot to it, but seeing the aftermath of whatever happens in the novel was off-putting yet rewarding at the same time.
Well, I think it'll help to have read All Flesh is Grass, because I think it will naturally fit at that point. For me, I was expecting this to be part of what was the continuation from the Enemy of My Enemy? It was Enemy of My Enemy? Yeah, the Enemy of My Enemy. I just felt it was going to be a continuation from that. So clearly we now know that the Enemy of My Enemy is what leads up to the All Flesh is Grass arrival, and that this happens after the events of All Flesh is Grass, after they're, I suppose, headed back to the present day, or back to their original timelines.
Yeah, and as it started, I was like, did I remember the end of that last story wrong? Was there some big explosion that I don't remember?
I thought the same thing. In fact, I started listening to this, and I was so confused where they were that I went to Time Lord Victorious handy story guide, story order, in order to find out where this was placed. And once I got my brain wrapped around it, I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to have to enjoy this ride and figure out how this fits in after All Flesh is Grass finishes up.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of obviously, I just went along with it for the ride. I was like, okay, I guess I misremembered and just went along with it kind of in the back of my head. And then once there's a line drop at the very end of we're out of the dark times. So I was like, oh, so this is set afterwards.
Yeah,
I had the story click it in for me.
That's what that kind of cements it, even though I had already looked in the story placement while I was listening. But yeah, that kind of cemented it. I was like, okay, well, that's what, to me, sort of this probably so far is the least standalone story of all of these stories for me. I just don't think that it is an interesting concept to just be thrown into the action at the beginning. Something has happened. There's been an explosion, and the Doctor has sabotaged the ship in some way. And so I think there's something to be said for starting a story that way. It's really interesting, but it does feel a little bit in that vein of what happened, what led to this, where, how did we get here? So, and I think that'll be fleshed out a little bit more in All Flesh is Grass as the departure.
Well, and it's not uncommon to start a story like this.
Oh,
but
no,
the difference is in other stories, we eventually get filled in,
right?
Either through dialogue or through flashback or something of what led to this.
Right,
and in this story, we never get that. All we get is a line of the Daleks and the Doctor have fallen out, pretty much.
Right.
And the Daleks think the Doctor betrayed them.
Yes.
And that's it. I mean, you kind of have to just go with it otherwise.
That's about all the connecting of the dots. Then you just kind of sit down and enjoy the rest of it.
Yeah, this would very much make a new series episode with the way it's structured. Because it's just, pre-credit sequences, explosions, there's Daleks running around all over the place. It's like, whoa, what happened? Where are we at? Oh, the Doctor's involved. Okay. I had the same reaction, though. I thought for sure this was going to pick up after Enemy of My Ally, and was not majorly lost, but fairly confused, at least through the first part of it. And then I began to kind of suspect. It was like, I don't think this fits where I think it fits.
Right. I was kind of
this is one of those that we've finally gotten around to, that jumping around that we discussed was going to happen with this series.
Yeah.
So
well,
I kind of rolled with it, and then about the midway point I was like, oh, okay, this is at the end of the relationship.
Yeah. And we have been jumping from here to there, but we could always sort of semi-connect where we were in the series, or where we were in the events of what was happening. But this was the first time that I really felt like, whoa, where are we?
Well, and, other than the book, it felt like everything was leading up to the events or mid-event, as opposed to this, where it's obviously clearly at the end. Yeah. And there hasn't been a lot that we've done that's felt like it's afterwards.
That's true. In fact, hindsight's 2020. I would have placed this after we reviewed All Flesh is Grass. Honestly, I mean they came out very close to each other, and I think the release of this was just a few days before the novel came out. And so I think in my mind, I assumed, okay, well, we need to listen to Mutually Assured Destruction before we read All Flesh is Grass, but clearly that was not the case.
Other than that, I enjoyed it. It honestly, this one, maybe this is one of those controversial things, but I felt in a weird way that it was still kind of oddly holiday appropriate, because you've got the Doctor running and crawling through air ducts and a hostile force chasing him. It felt very Die Hard to me. So I was like, hey, it's like a Christmas episode, but not.
or a disaster movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Or a
mean,
disaster movie.
so it still kind of fits. I could totally see that for a Doctor Who holiday special.
Made me quite happy. But I enjoyed the tiny little bits and gleaming into the Dalek political realms, but between the strategist and the commander, and then of course inevitably setting loose the terror on wheels that is the executioner.
Wouldn't that be terror on repulsors?
Well, we don't know if he used them.
Or on static charge.
The absolutely brilliant bit at the beginning with losing the power and Paul McGann just launching into the 2001 theme.
Yeah, well, Paul McGann shines in this. He is so good in this, and this one you can a lot of times. I don't think any of the actors ever just phone it in. They're all really good, but occasionally you'll listen to a story where you can tell that the performer is enjoying themselves. I mean, really enjoying themselves. And I really kind of got that feeling from McGann. He had a lot of energy, and especially that whole. I just, choreographed that in my mind of him clinging on to this scientist robot or a scientist Dalek as they were, floating through the lab, and even the dancing, doing the the waltz type thing with the Dalek, I thought was very clever and very funny as well, and very much Eighth Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I really
Well,
liked
the entire story, he gives off even though he's in utter peril, he's having so much fun as the Doctor climbing through these vents and sabotaging a Dalek ship that it doesn't feel like he's in trouble. He's in peril. Like he has everything under control and is just having a ball. And so it comes across that the Doctor is too. It's just such a great performance.
Yeah, very much so. He's just a joy to listen to, which meant that as we went, this was one that, despite the executioner hot on their tails, not that I ever really worry about the Doctor, really, because I know he's going to get out of it. But in this one, there was never kind of a shadow of doubt. He's obviously 3 steps ahead of all of them.
Yeah,
it's just a question of when am I going to be let in on it. So, so kind of putting that vibe out early just allowed me to come and sit back and relax and enjoy the shenanigans, as it were. And then we'd get something that would happen and be like, oh, well, maybe they are going to... Nope, there he is again.
It was more concern over the pseudo companions he picked up. And if, the kind of emotional impact it might have on the Doctor to have them both killed.
Yeah.
And it turns out one of them didn't, so it didn't matter.
Right.
And a nice little bit of auditioning there at the end with his advice.
New companion. I like that the two, were they Raxians? Is that what they were calling them?
No, they were someone else.
They were somebody else. Okay. But the two from that particular race of people, I like the fact that they were sort of going down the same path as the Daleks. That they were looking to utilize the Daleks in order to, and their casing and travel mechanisms and things like that. And it was shadows of the history of the Daleks, and I liked that the Doctor, identifies that and tries to explain. Listen, you don't want to go this route. You don't want to become like the Daleks. That was kind of a neat inclusion.
So she would be a species from the dark times then. That is existing in the normal universe.
She does now, because they made it back with her. So this is another thing is that we've had that Doctor Who comic maker had them picking up that particular species. What were they called? The Velocians. And then we had the last story that we just reviewed referred to another group, the Felonians, I think it was. And so we're peppering in a lot of these different, we knew that the Daleks were collecting specimens, and specimens particularly from the dark times, in order to, I don't think we still know, other than maybe to study these lesser, as they call lesser life forms, Still don't know that we know why they were picking all these. And I think Defender of the Daleks also obviously had some, also alluded to the fact that they were picking up different species. But am I missing something? We still don't know what they had intended with any of these, right?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
Maybe that'll be let known in the novel, the next novel we review. So that's still a mystery, but again, still connects to that kind of thread that's been going on through these materials as well. It's a good story. I mean, I'm still thoroughly enjoying all the characters, thoroughly enjoying all of the characters that Nick Briggs is playing so well. I'm still every time we hear this, I'm so blown away, especially by the fact that he doesn't record them separately, that he records them all together.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. I think one of the things that I thought would be interesting about this would be if it were revealed at some point that it's Davros actually in and I think one of you guys had alluded to this before, but it's actually Davros in the Strategist, because I think early on when somebody had speculated that, I kind of thought, oh, I don't know. But the more that I read of the Strategist and his relationship with the Emperor and the Commander and how he's manipulating things as he's going as well in order to make things play out right, it's a lot of shades of Davros. And I don't think they would be going there, but I think it would be really an amazing reveal if he was.
I kind of hope that it does. I just the way the Strategist's mind operates, I feel a lot of shades of Davros to it. And if we get to the end of this and it is revealed to be Davros, I'll be more excited than disappointed that I figured it out. It would just be like, oh yeah. And I think mainly because, especially with the bits of information that we got about where, these stories are set, that following up with, after the Civil War and cleaning up, and the Emperor is now, okay, we're just going to start over. Well, that's a very Davros thing to do in a way, and if there was a Strategist whispering in his ear at that point, we should just start over. Yeah, let's start over. You can do it better on your own. Yeah, I do. You should make them all swear loyalty to you. Yeah, that'd be, just
right.
Just he's eliminating all those, because if there's one thing that Davros has done, it's adapt. He's always, other than his personality letting him down, he learns from his mistakes, and so that to me would just be like the ultimate woo. And it would also set up well for the eventual, the Emperor finds out what's up and that he's been quote unquote betrayed, and it sets up where Davros winds up in the later episodes of New Who, where he's kind of relegated to the basement and
yeah, absolutely
kicked him out of his position of power, but keep him around.
Right.
I'd be totally all right with that.
That's good stuff. I mean, I think all three outings that we did this week, I thoroughly enjoyed all of them. Of course, they're very Dalek heavy, so it's going to be kind of hard for me not to like something like that. Talking a little bit about the figures, I know you guys hadn't seen the figures yet in person, but I've ordered them, and they look great. The construction of the Eaglemoss, these are the first Eaglemoss pieces I've gotten. They're they're a die-cast metal. Very heavy, very sturdy. The detail work on them is really good. The sculpts on them are really good, and the paint jobs are just incredible. And I will continue to collect, specifically probably Dalek figures, just because they look so good on my shelf together. But I'm very much pleased with the purchase of these as well. So there's my little review of the figurines that are coming with these magazines.
Now, just out of curiosity, Glenn, I've seen a handful of the Eaglemoss character figs, which all stand on these little kind of hexagonal bases, and they almost are reminiscent of the placeholder figures from the Five Doctors that go down into the time scoop. They're better painted and sculpted than those were, but that's kind of what they remind me of. Are the Daleks on pedestals as well, or is it just on? They're just.
Yeah, the Daleks are on their own. Just the skirting goes straight down, so there's no hex. Cool. I know what you're talking about. I think it's probably because it's unnecessary for the Daleks to have them. The other ones
Yeah.
are such slender figures, and in order
Yeah,
for them to
that's true.
stand correctly, I think you have to have that wide base, and so that's why they've got that hexagonal. And I'm assuming when I get the 10th Doctor, Time Lord Victorious, and Brian the Ood, which I do certainly plan to buy when it's available, I presume they will come on the hexagonal base as well. Well, anything else about this particular story or either of these short stories that we want to touch on? If not,
That's all I can think of.
If not, let's talk about what's coming next on the schedule. Some exciting stuff. Well, it's all been exciting so far, but
Officially, next week, Doctor Who is back on.
Yay!
So we will return with our thoughts on Revolution of the Daleks, our holiday special with Jodie Whittaker and the gang.
the fam.
Part of me is not looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll
We're
be
gonna
sad to see some
Lose
people
part of the
leave.
fam. And then, as planned, we will return to the world of Time Lord Victorious at the start of next year with Exit Strategy, which is a short story from the Eaglemoss set that includes the Dalek Executioner and Dalek Strategist, and the Big Finish audio drama Genesis of the Daleks, written by one of our favorites, Jonathan Morris.
Hey,
Ooh.
and featuring the 4th Doctor.
Yes. Took me a minute.
There was a big pause, and then yes.
The mental filing cabinet wedged and didn't
Yeah.
quite open all the way. It was like, is that the one? You know,
Yeah, that's
genetics.
definitely one,
Yeah, of course
so
it is. Okay,
That'll be what the
It's genetics.
5th
genetics.
the 5th Doctor to enter the Time Lord Victorious story arc, because we've had the 10th Doctor, the 9th Doctor, and the 8th Doctor. We've had the 11th Doctor technically, because she shows up in Defender of the Daleks. We've had the and then the 4th Doctor will be the other one that is the surprise. I don't think we've had any other ones that have shown up. Well, we've had the Curator that made the phone call
That's
in the
true.
Canary story, the short story. So we've had the Curator as well. So potentially 6 incarnations of the Doctor so far. Possibly
Maybe
some more.
more.
Who knows? Yeah,
Possibly more. You never know who's going to show up.
that's right.
We get to the important part of Revolution of the Daleks.
Right, exactly. Of course, you can follow along with us on our website, travelingvortex.com. If you get some value out of this podcast, why not consider putting some value back into it? You can do that by clicking on our Patreon link and consider supporting us. And for those of you that do, we always are indebted to your gracious gratitude. Also, please consider giving us a 5-star review wherever you subscribe to this podcast, and make sure you join the conversation in our listeners forum over on Facebook. Anything else we need to touch on, guys?
I want to wish you all a very happy New Year, because you'll hear from us in 2021,
Yeah.
Yay! No more 2020.
barring any bizarre time vortex.
Right.
That's true. You never know what's going to happen.
When the clock turns over to 1160, 1161,
Yeah.
1162, 1163.
As Sean Connery once said, when we're airborne with Germany behind us, I'll share that sentiment. Until then, I'm not getting my hopes up.
Well, if that's going to do it for this time, until next time, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
No, I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.